Hello,
How are
gorgeous.
you?
How are you?
I'm good. You're looking so fresh. That's amazing. How is
Thank
it
you.
going
So are
for you?
you.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
going
How are
well.
you?
I'm in
What's been
Perth.
happening? Hmm.
All good. I'm in Australia. I got in mid-Feb, and then the pandemic took over. The borders got locked down, and ever since I've been here with my husband.
Okay. How is it going there? What is the situation? If you can fill us in with what the situation there is.
Yeah, the situation over here is really good. In fact, there was not a single day of a lockdown over here,
Mm-hmm.
and the cases have gone down to almost zero now. So there are hardly
Oh.
any cases,
Hmm.
and people are, back to their normal lives. I mean, a few people are still working from home,
Hmm.
but most people are back to work. And if you walk into a, restaurant and all that, they're following strict protocol, of social distancing and all of that. Even if you go to a mall, they're like giving you sanitizer before you enter the shop or you touch any items.
Right.
But having said all of that, it looks like it's absolutely normal. There's proper traffic on the road, like people are moving around.
Hmm. All right. All right. And how was it
Hmm.
initially when it was announced that okay, we are going in this whole lockdown kind of a situation? But was it really strict?
Oh my God, it was crazy. People were just running to the grocery stores to fill up, and stock enough food,
Yeah.
grains. Tissue paper rolls were a big
Yeah, I believe so. Yes. In Australia,
yeah,
I
so
think
people.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for us Indians, I think we're very happy using water. I mean, tissue paper हम लोग को इतनी जरूरत नहीं पड़ती
Let's
है.
not get into that direction.
No, we're not going there. But what I'm saying is we're lucky that we would never have to go crazy about buying tissue paper. We
Yeah,
believe
yeah,
in saving paper, so it's a good thing.
yeah, absolutely. Now, you started your journey as an actor when you were 3 years old. How did that come about? Share with us your journey.
Um, it all started actually with the Farrex ad, and if I had to rewind as to how that happened, it was a very filmy experience. We were traveling by train to my nanny's house. My nanny stayed in Kandivali, Borivali, Kandivali, that side, and we were in town. So I used to love traveling by train. It was like my favorite. It's like chuk chuk gaadi mein jana hai. Mom would be like, no, we'll go by car. I'd be like, nahi, mujhe chuk chuk gaadi mein jana hai. So we were in the train, and somebody found me really cute in the train, and they were like, "Can we have a picture of her? Why doesn't she do ads?" And my mom, must have given them like a passport-sized picture or something, and then that's how the ad happened, and then more of the
So you
same.
were the Farrex baby. My God, Farrex babies have always been so popular. I remember those when my mother used to buy Farrex kadabba for my siblings. So
Yeah,
Farrex baby was always Farrex baby and Murphy baby. I think that that one. The two.
yeah. Also the Parle G baby.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And then what happened? So, is your
yeah. So
anybody
that
from your
started as
family in acting, in Bollywood, in films? Anybody is, or you were the first one?
no. Nobody knows this. I've never mentioned it, but my Dadaji, that's my dad's dad, was financing films when he was alive. Of course, now he's no more.
Mm-hmm.
And but nobody in my family was ever an actor or anything that I could mention. I mean, this was just financing films, and they financed all the Mahmood films. From
Okay.
Sabse Bada Rupaiya to Ginny
Yeah.
or Johnny, Kuwara Baap. So
Hmm.
all those films were financed by my Dadaji, and yeah, I'm the first actor in the family, and I think the craze began when I started enjoying being in front of the camera, doing my ads, and all through school I was doing ads. So
Hmm.
that one ad set off like a stint of doing a lot of advertisements on TV, and from brands like Pepsodent to Johnson and Johnson Clean and Clear face wash, and there were scooter brands and Maggie. So I did the first Maggie 2 minute ad when I was also very young, and yeah, that set off a stint of ads, and then of course much later when I was in the 9th 10th standard, I started inching towards doing more mainstream stuff.
So, which was your first film that you signed, and which was the first film that released?
The first film that I signed was Lajja, which was with Rajkumar Santoshi. It was a multi-star cast film, and I had only a cameo role. I had to play Danny G's daughter, but in the film there was Rekha Ji, there was Manisha Koirala, Madhuri Dixit, Mahima. They all had small roles. Only Manisha had like a whole from beginning to end. She was like the common thread, weaving every story in. So Lajja was my first film, and I remember going to Film City and having met Rajkumar Santoshi, of course, a very big director.
Yes.
And at that time when I was going to meet him, I was really, really, I had way more confidence than I've ever had. I could never go up to someone with so much confidence today, because life really teaches you and, kind of puts you in control. It kind of teaches you so many lessons that you kind of not lose your confidence, but you kind of understand life better. And so when I went to meet Raji, I was at a stage where I was, I just won a beauty pageant, the Miss India Worldwide, and I was on a total high. And he was like, "Will you do this role?" And I was like, "Yes." And I was like, now I'm going to take on the world and all of that. And that's when my main debut film happened, which was Tumse Acha Kaun Hai. So Tumse Acha Kaun Hai was my proper main lead film, and then Awara Pagal Deewana, which is where people actually started recognizing me. So yeah, and they all happened like in a span of a year, so it was one after another.
Wow. And how
Yeah.
has the journey been? If you take, from the time you started, from Lajja till I don't think you've stopped really, have you? I haven't.
I did take a break, but not then, of course. The break was very recent. It wasn't really a break. It was just doing other things, like, doing TV, doing reality shows.
Yeah.
So all of that. I think from 2000 to 2013, it was like a lot of films. And after that, it was a lot of TV, like you said, Khatron Ke, Jhalak Dikhla Ja, all of that. And then web series started happening. Of course, there's so many web series happening now on TV, and I keep doing a lot of ads. So ads is something that will never stop.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ads. I love doing ads.
Yeah, it's great fun, no? You just shoot 2 days and you
you're out
move
of
on
it.
to the
And
next
you can
product.
associate it with good brands, and it's amazing.
And they shoot it so well. It's so aesthetic, and they present you so well. Not that they don't in films, but very often they don't. I feel like that about many films. I feel like justice was not done.
Yeah, because most of the times my experience has been, you're waiting the whole day, you do all the multi-stars, whatever, this thing, and then your close-up is at the end at 11 o'clock when you're like dying. Like,
so true. And I swear, nobody talks about it, but that is so true, Aditi.
It's just, so what have been the highest highs and the lowest lows that you've gone through in your film career?
Oh, there have been so many highest highs and so many lowest lows. It's been like also at a time when it was not expected at all. So it was like, if you look at my career, it's been like that. So highest highs was, of course, all the hits that happened, right? So Awara Pagal Deewana was a big hit, and people loved the role of the NRI Tapori. And then there was the Shootout at Lokhandwala, which was again a very big hit. And post that, there was also Shadi Number One, which was a David Dhawan film, and there was Das Tola, which was with Manoj Bajpayee, which got a lot of critical acclaim. So that was an author-backed role as well. So every time there was a hit, things peaked. But it's not like there were in-between films that weren't doing well or were doing averagely well. And, each actor is known by the last Friday, how well their film did or not. So, there have been a lot of ups and downs probably more than the ups. But the learning has been fantastic. And that is why I don't look back and regret any of the lows. I think without those lows, I wouldn't have enjoyed those highs, and I wouldn't have learned to kind of, become a stronger person through those lows.
Right. So what do you do?
Yeah.
What is your mechanism to handle the lows? What do you do? Each person that has come on the chat with me has had a different kind of outlook to how they handle failure or feeling negative or feeling low. And the whole purpose over here is not really to make it negative or anything like that, but it's just to showcase to everybody that each of us, no matter where you are, what you're doing, is a human being who feels pain as any other person on the planet, right? And
True.
However, there are ways, and why we persevere is because of dash dash dash. So that is the whole purpose of asking you this question.
Very true. So, firstly, I've never let anything get to my head, whether it's been success or failure. I've been quite neutral towards both. So it's not like it's shaken me off or thrown me off, because my expectations of myself have been very, very, I would say, fair, you know. Expecting too much is not fair. You can't be so harsh on yourself that you kind of go through a breakdown. But when those lows did happen, it kind of pulled me towards spirituality in different forms. So whether it was, starting, chanting, like Buddhism chanting, or whether it was getting very serious about doing yoga, building your focus and finding your inner equilibrium, feeling more balanced, and meditation. So for me, I think my biggest tool when I'm feeling low or negative is breath. Because breath is that one most powerful tool that connects you with the divine. That pause between your inhale and your exhale is the time when you actually just connect.
Yes.
So that pause is something that is so powerful. But people mostly talk about breathing and being conscious about breathing. But I really feel that if you want to breathe and make it very powerful, then you should use affirmations with breathing, and that's what I practice myself. So affirmations are, positive statements that you say repeatedly, and I'm sure I'm just saying it for the people who are watching. So yeah, they're positive statements that are said in present continuous tense, and you repeat them, and you say it with feeling. You either hear it as a meditation, or you write it in your book, or you just repeat it in your head. They go deep into your subconscious and actually reflect in the reality around you. So that has been very instrumental.
And that's what I have been saying, that we think that mind is in our body, but it's actually the other way around. Our body is in our mind, right? This is like a very abstract kind of a statement, which if you think about it, you realize that the world is not really outside, it's within you. It is what you perceive,
true, so true.
What your perception is, which gives you the world. And that's where even I use, affirmations and meditation and mindfulness when I do my consultants, where counseling is concerned. This is a big form of therapy that I also use.
Absolutely. Self-hypnosis.
Yeah. So what set you on this path, Aarti? Because what happens is that generally one starts going towards spirituality when life kind of knocks you on your head, and sometimes you fall and you get up and you're like, okay, now what? And then you turn towards spirituality. Most of the times that is in this. So what was that incident? If you want to share, or you can just give us a brief idea.
There are many things, Aditi, many things have knocked me down very badly in life. It's not been an easy journey. I've never come out with it. I've never really spoken about it. Even when the whole Me Too thing happened, I saw so many people come out with so much. But I really feel that once you've dealt with it, and once you've, once you've dealt with it, it's done and over with. To keep repeating it and to keep bringing it back to your memory is almost like reliving it. Yeah. And reliving it would mean bringing back the same emotion, bringing back the same frequency. And why do you want to be on that frequency that you're done and over with? So I prefer not to really get into it. But if I was to tell you, like, very generally, I would say it was difficult in an industry where people favor their own, and there is a lot of groupism. I'm not saying this just because of the current situation that we're facing with what has happened with Sushant. I'm saying this from my heart. It has not been easy facing groupism, and I've never been a part of any such group that has so I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but whatever films I have done on my own merit, not because of some relation or some friendship or some favor. So it's been hard, and I can proudly say that I've done it on my own merit. So that's the good thing that I take out of it. But I think the other lows would be family health. relationships in my own life, a struggle to be able to find the right partner in my life. For many years, I was looking for the right soulmate, and it might seem very like, what you're looking for love, you'll find it. It's destined. But
No, it's not. It's easier said than done. Yes.
Yeah, very true. So I struggled a lot to be able to find, my soulmate, and I went through meeting a lot of people that seemed not right, and I, started feeling like, why am I meeting all the wrong people? But in life, somewhere you realize that it's not the people that are wrong; it's you who has to work on yourself to be able to see the right and, be able to attract the right person into your life. So I started working on my own frequency, and I think I have changed. Like, I have gone 360 degrees as a person. So if anybody knew me a few years ago and what I am today, I can clearly say they probably don't know me at all, because life has changed my views, my, perception of life, my understanding of myself, my entire mindset, the way I look at things,
So now what comes across in this interview to me is a very sensible, rooted, grounded Aarti Chhabria, right? You do. I mean, I'm being very frank about it. However, from your perception, what are the 3 things that you can tell us which were also different a few years back, and which you changed to what you are now? So give us 3 qualities that existed in you that time, and how are the 3 qualities converted into something else or completely new qualities?
It's a very deep question, and that would require a lot of deep thinking. I don't know how much time we have on this kind of a live. I wish this was an interview and I could sit and type, because I'm so good at writing my thoughts that they flow much better when I'm writing. But I think the biggest change has been mindset, right? From being someone who could easily feel bad about, not doing well or not getting a certain film that was supposed to be mine, and get a feeling of negativity, like, why not me? Why them? What did I not do right? To a feeling of understanding and being grateful for what I already have, and being able to bless the person that got the work, It's a complete 360-degree change, right? And when you start on that frequency of being able to bless people, even in the past, who've not been good to you, being able to be thankful for whatever you have rather than look at what you don't have, it completely is a change. I mean, that is the one big thing that I can probably tell you, if not for 3. But yeah.
So that is pretty much all pervading. So you don't need to even list out the other 2, because that completely, when you change your mindset, everything pretty much changes. And the reason why I asked you this question is because I saw the depth that you have. Look, the depth exists in everybody. It's just that we are not aware of it, and we have to work towards it, right?
Yeah.
And I saw that in you, and that's the reason why I asked you this deep question, so to say, because having done quite a bit of work on myself, I completely resonate with what you're saying. So now, today, what is your modus operandi, so to say, if somebody says something that is in the moment hurtful?
In the moment hurtful.
Yeah.
So normal person would either snap or just disappear from there, right? There are only 2 reactions you can give. One is snap, one is disappear. Maybe somebody else will just smile and say, I have nothing to say. I don't know. But I think if I was to kind of help somebody with this kind of a situation, I would again tell them to use breath as a tool. Like I told you, it's my most powerful tool, according to me, that I think people have underused. So once you use your breath and you just let that time pass, like it's a wave. Like suppose you're on the sea and now you're on the wave. You can either panic or you can just tell yourself that, okay, let the wave pass and then I'll deal with it. Because the words that come out of your mouth when you're reacting to something is something that will not have good consequences, right? So in films they say, it's not about acting, it's about reacting. Over here, it's not about reacting, it's about responding. So when you're actually understand the difference between reaction and a response, and you tell yourself a simple line, this is their point of view.
Yeah.
It's not my point of view. They're not asking. So what you first say is, this is your point of view. I understand it. Always give that validation to the other person, because otherwise you're setting yourself up for not being heard at all.
Yeah.
The next thing you say, you're going to get, back snapped, and then, the conversation ends where it just boom goes into that.
Yeah.
So I think the best thing is just breathe and say that, and then, say it in a way that calms things down. So I don't know what the situation, I can't imagine what exactly you're talking about, but this is what I would say.
Generalize this thing. It's nothing to do, not a specific, anything can hurt anybody at any given point. So we cannot gauge, anybody's level of thinking or pain threshold or anything like that. So you never know. At times what also happens is you say something to somebody and you might not mean to hurt the other person, but the other person might be hurt.
Yeah. So basically,
go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're saying the right thing. I totally agree with you. What you're also talking about is interpretation, right? So how you interpret the thing, you can choose at any point to interpret what is being said in a bad way or in a good way.
Yeah.
So if someone has said something hurtful to you, you always, any conversation, there are two sides of a coin. You can flip it and interpret it differently and give that new interpretation to the other person. I think that makes a huge difference. Yeah.
So do you do journaling, or besides chanting, the Buddhist chanting, is there any other method or mechanism that you follow to get into,
Yeah, there's a lot, from doing a course, Art of Living, to following the inner engineering with Sadhguru, to the most powerful thing that I found was transcendental meditation, TM. So I got initiated for that a few years ago, and I've been practicing that. My morning, it takes up almost 2.5 hours. And some people are like, are you seriously crazy? Like, how do you sit down for 2 hours and do your chanting, do your Surya Namaskar, do your pranayama?
What is the schedule like? Share your schedule. What is the 2.5 hours that you put in?
Yeah, so basically, I'm very serious about my pranayama practice, my breathing. So your Anulom Vilom, Kapalbhati, your Brahmani, your Om chanting, all of that takes almost about an hour, because I'm doing it for like 20 minutes every single day.
Okay.
I do it every single day. And after that, I go into my Surya Namaskar, which is the time I also take sunlight and vitamin D, because it's so important for your health. People again talk about it, like, vitamin D lena chahiye, sun, but how many people actually take it? So I religiously, sit in the sun. I mean, not sit in the sun, do my Surya Namaskar. And even if it's late, sometimes I don't manage waking up early. And even if I wake up late and I have to do my Surya Namaskar at like 12 in the noon, it doesn't matter. I do it, And my aim is to reach about 100, but I haven't reached more than 30.
Wow.
So I do between 20 to 30.
That's
I have a friend of mine who does 100, and I'm like in awe of her. I don't know how she does it.
I'm sure you'll reach very soon. Knowing you, I mean, you seem very determined to reach there. So you soon.
It's really sweet. Yeah. So then Surya Namaskar, and then chanting and TM, but maybe not back to back. So I'll like take a small break. I'll have my chai. I'll have my breakfast, maybe apple or something very light. Then get into chanting. Chanting, I don't do more than 10-15 minutes, but I do it, I do it about thrice a week. I don't do it every day. I try and do it every day. If anybody from my Buddhism groups watching this, they're going to not like it, but I do this for myself, not for anybody else. So I do it about 3 to 4 times a week. And but TM I do every single day, which is 20 minutes sitting in silence in a particular position and, going through a certain chant. So all of these things, morning regime.
And then what about the physical workout? I know you do Surya Namaskar. So is that it, or do you also dedicate some time to look after the physical aspect of the human?
Usually what happens is I don't feel like I get enough cardio with that. Even though it's a complete exercise, it gives you everything you need. From cardio, it like, every organ's getting twisted and it's getting oxygenated and all of that. Okay. But I still feel like I want to run, or I want to walk, or, like breathe oxygen, So every evening, what we try and do is go for a nice walk, come jog. like a good 2.5 kilometers, 3 kilometers if possible. And gym is totally stopped. I've stopped going to the gym, of course, because of the lockdown. Even though over here there's been no lockdown, none of the gyms were operational. I recently did a Pilates class, which was my first ever Pilates class.
Oh, it's wonderful,
And
isn't it? I mean, I love Pilates.
yeah, I enjoyed it. It was really good, but you need to have a very strong core and good balance and all of that. So yeah, but I've not been really working out, honestly. Not that I'm very proud about it, but yeah.
You're fit, yeah, Aarti. I mean, I've seen your
Aw.
Instagram. You're super fit. You are.
So
I
are you.
don't think I've ever seen you not in shape. And by this, I don't mean, and I don't want to mislead anybody to say that, oh, you have to have a zero size figure, or not like that. It is the face which shows a person how healthy or unhealthy they are. Because you might be all bulked up, but if you have puffy eyes and you're looking sallow and you don't have the vitality of life, which is prana, then it's no use being that kind of fit. So I consider you
Very
fit
true.
because of what your vibe is, the glow that is
Thank
there.
you.
So
That's
that's
so
where I'm
sweet.
coming from.
It's on you as well. I think you're somebody that I've always felt beauty with brains. When I think of Aditi Guatekar, beauty with brains, that's one thing that always comes up. So I think, thank you. I think beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Thank you so much for seeing all these lovely things in me.
Right. So coming to the situation now, and this is something that what I have been saying to people who are my friends and family, that I felt extremely heavy on Sunday. I couldn't sleep. So throughout the lockdown, I've been okay. Of course, it doesn't mean that things have been all good, because all the events are cancelled, all the shoots are cancelled, everything.
So
and
true.
we don't know when it's going to open up, right? So work-wise, it's who knows the situation. Social life, who knows? So this uncertainty, of course, I have tackled it because I know how to. However, Sunday brought on a very difficult time in all our lives where there was a lot of heaviness around.
True.
And I felt it and I couldn't sleep that night. Now, if a situation like this, and this is not pertaining to Sunday per se, I'm talking about general life, even with
You're talking about
both-
Sushant's situation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That happened
yeah.
on Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a situation earlier, or situations, or any kind of incident that
Yeah.
happened in your life where you feel so heavy and like heavy-hearted. How do you come out of it?
See, what has happened is not easy for anybody to deal with. Whether you were his best friend, whether you call yourself his mother or his father or anybody, you could just be a fan. But we all equally have felt that pain, right? Because even though we were not so close to him, just knowing him as a star, as an actor, watching his films, having that, I had a very short experience of working with him. And the vibe that he gave was of being such a warm, intelligent, pure soul, So it has definitely affected everybody, and it's not been easy. Even though people have not known him, they're still going through that, feeling of loss. And to be able to deal with heaviness, I think it is about telling yourself that this too will pass, because there's nothing you can do about it. It's a kind of loss that you cannot undo, right? What is gone is gone. But what you can do is help those around you who you feel need that kind of support. And when you look at it, he always was smiling, right? He always looked vibrant. He always looked like he was with full masti. You could never make out कि उसके अंदर एक वो दुख या वो hollowness या जो भी whatever he was going through वो था. और वो जो होता है वो सब में होता है. वो आप में भी है, वो मेरे में भी है, वो इसमें भी है, वो उसमें भी है. जो अभी 91 लोग हैं उनमें भी कुछ ना कुछ. Everybody is going through that struggle, right? But the thing is, nobody shows it to everybody around. Probably one or two very close people know about it. But if you do know anybody around yourself that you can help, and you are of course, you're educated for this, you're a counselor and you're doing so much on this front. Even I started a positive motivational series on YouTube, so I could give back. Even though I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, I wanted to give back through my experiences about the things that I learned. So I feel everybody has these experiences, you know, everybody understands life in their own way, and they can help the people around them. So if we were to just reach out to our people around us and help one or two people, you know, over the next in future, basically, not in the next 1 week or 2 weeks. I mean, in the future, it would be great, right? I mean, that's something that we can do. So we can only look at what is possible, not what is not in our hands, right?
Yeah, absolutely. How do you deal with the void or the negative? Actually, that's what I wanted to know. How do you deal in your life? Not related to Sushant at all, but in your, when you know you go through personal loss or personal trauma, what steps do you take?
For me, I feel very blessed and lucky, and I thank God every day for my family, because if not for them and their support, I think I would have been in a very negative space. If I came from some part of India and I did my acting, lived alone, got my fame, and it went to my head, and then every loss, and I was feeling like I'm sinking, and then up and then down, and then, you know, I suddenly bought my house and I suddenly bought my car. I had a different lifestyle earlier, now I have a different lifestyle. So this kind of jolting is what really goes to your head, you know, and then it gets difficult to deal with it when you can't have it, because now you've built that expectation of yourself. But when you have a certain grounding, when you have a family around you that keeps you down to earth and keeps your expectations real and doesn't let you go berserk with अरे वो नहीं मिला तो मतलब अब कुछ नहीं बचा मेरे लिए, you know. So when you have that grounding and when you have that support, I think people should feel very blessed that they do, because your parents are your living gods and they guide you. And if you don't have parents, you still have doctors, you have friends, you have, you know, people who help your morale and help you to you know, shift your thinking. And the shift in thinking, the shift in mindset, the shift in frequency is so important. So you need those people, those angels in your life, you know, like it could be a mentor, it could be your best friend who pulls you back to that strength. Because if you have just friends who are there, like only good weather friends who are only there for you to party and drink and dance, and then actually when you really want to talk to somebody, you feel like nobody is going to understand, then those friends aren't really your friends, right? You can be on 10 WhatsApp groups and have like 40 people in each group, but are they really your friends? So those friends, keep them close to you and stay grounded, whether it is with your family or those people that, you know, help you back to positivity and help you back on the right path. So for me, I think it's been family, and you know, that's been a huge support, my biggest strength. And you know, I hope that, you know, people take that kind of support from their family, because a lot of people don't talk to their family. They feel there's a generation gap and they feel अरे मैं बोलूंगी मम्मी से या पापा से तो वो नहीं समझेंगे, you know, उनका अलग सोच है. But honestly, सब समझते हैं अदिति. अगर आप किसी के साथ बैठ जाओ और आप एक conversation, if you have that conversation heart to heart and you say, you know, understand my point of view, this is what I am going through. Nobody is going to tell you, shut up, get out. No, this is not, I mean, nobody is going to completely shun you away, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So find that core, you know, that core, not group is a very bad word. I don't like that word. But find your, you know, your core people that you depend on, you know, as your pillars of strength and support.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I did. I come from a small place, and obviously my parents didn't shift here because I came to Mumbai to study medicine in Grand Medical College, after which, of course, I joined this field, and they obviously it wasn't possible for them to, and it wouldn't be fair for me to ask them to shift with me. But I did develop, and that's what I say, that social support plays a bigger role than we realize. And by social support, again, I, like you just said, it's not about WhatsApp groups or likes on Instagram or followers. No, I mean the real 3 a.m. friends. And you don't need too many. I think even if you have one, nurture that relationship. Spend that time, because spending time with one another becomes a crucial thing in nurturing a relationship. Because it just doesn't, otherwise everybody has their own lives. They will just, you know, it's very easy to grow apart. So it's important, I think, at this juncture to kind of, again, mirroring you in that sense, to say that it's crucial that develop that strong bond. If your family is not with you, if you have, then connect with your family. Like Aarti said, that they get it. Parents get it. They've been on this planet for longer than you are. They might be of different generation. However, it does not mean that they will not get it. So do connect with your loved ones.
True.
If you feel that you don't have anybody, then do get in touch with a counselor, because they will provide you the safe space. Get in touch with somebody who's sensible, and we all know that one sensible person in our life. So make that connection. I think that is the very crucial message, I think, that has come out of this whole conversation, isn't it?
Very true, very true. And there are certain energy suckers, I call them, people who only call you to complain. They will only call you in the day or in the night or any other day to tell you, no, 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 no. And other times you'll see them laughing and they're totally fine. Arey, tujhe kya hua? Abhi to ro rahi thi, abhi to khush ho gayi. Kya ho gaya? You're like, what the hell is happening? See, now, I think it's very important to cut certain people out of your life, the people that keep pulling you back to negativity without taking your advice or your support. So I've had certain very close friends in my life, like very, very close, I would say best friends, who I have now slowly distanced. And they're probably, if they're watching this, I'm okay with it, because it's the truth. How much can you keep trying to pull somebody out? So when you feel that someone's constantly not listening to you, not wanting to take your help, you're giving them your time, your energy, you're investing that, that knowledge that you've got over so much time with them, but they're not listening to you. I think the best advice is to cut off from such people and just conserve your energy, because self-preservation is also something. So help those around you.
It takes a toll on you, and ultimately it's said, right, that you are pretty much the sum total of 5 people that you surround yourself with.
Exactly.
So if you surround yourself with negative people, even if you're a positive person, they will bring you down. So be careful with the people that you surround yourself with. Very, very important. Yes, sorry, you were saying something?
But you tell me, Aditi, your counseling, what would you do in a situation where you have a friend who always wants that kind of help and support, is always upset about something, but when you help, that help is not taken. And then people look at you like, oh, you're not helping, you're not there for her. And then, you can help her, you know how to get out of this.
Yeah.
It's a dilemma, right? It's a difficult situation.
Yeah. It's a difficult situation to be in. So it's very important to understand that you can only help those who want to help themselves.
So true.
Right?
So
if somebody is not, I will try once, twice, 3 times. I'm talking about a friend, not a person who's come to me for counseling. That's a different
of course
altogether. But a friend, I will say 2-3 times, and then I'll say that, look, I have spoken to you about this. We are repeating the whole story over and over again, and this is my advice. Now let's stop this discussion, and until and unless you don't implement it and you find that you want to help yourself, you want to bring in the change, I'm here for you. I'm always there for you, but we will not be discussing the same topic again. Because it is not leading to anything. It's just, it's like pouring water on when you keep a bowl like this and then you keep pouring water, it's not going to get filled. So that is the approach I have kept, so it doesn't affect me. And of course, with my training, this is a very good question that you brought up, which is that I deal with negativity day in and day out. So I've kept a limit of 6 sessions in a day. I don't take more than 6 clients in a day, because that I have found is my capacity to deal with negativity. Now, I don't bring the negativity home, because I know how to have that kind of a barrier wherein it doesn't affect me. So, because counseling is a process where everybody is just kind of talking about, whatever negative or difficult situation that they are in, and that can affect you if you're not trained well. So because of my training, I'm able to analyze, read through the things, and very, precisely pinpoint to say that, okay, let's work on this. Because when somebody comes, they just talk about their life.
It's much easier with a client or, someone that you're dealing with, like the people that I am coaching, it's like holistic coaching. It's more spiritual rather than anything else. And I feel that one thing that really helps me cut off from the negativity after dealing with a client that you're coaching, because friends is different, right? It's very difficult to cut off, because they can call you anytime and, you have to be there. So I think having a good saltwater bath is something that really helps absorb all the negativity and, just reset your energy and your frequency. So all the people that are watching this, should use that when they're feeling negative or they've just had a bad argument and they feel like, Naina, how do things get back to normal? First, you have to feel normal yourself. So if you have a nice saltwater bath, what's it called? Himalayan salt? Not
Himalayan
the normal, that really,
also, I have
really
an
helps.
Himalayan pink salt lamp in my house. Not
That's
because
amazing.
of anything, it just looks so beautiful. And for the beauty of it, I bought it. I had no idea what it meant because on Amazon, I was shopping for something else and for lamps, and this came up, and I'm like, wow, this glow looks so good. I bought it, and then I realized that it is for whatever, absorbing negativity or whatever it is.
It's really nice.
So it's quite beautiful. Yeah. That's a great advice to have a saltwater, bath that will kind of wash away all the negativity. That's great.
Yeah.
So how are you now keeping yourself busy in this quarantine? You are not in quarantine, but in Australia.
Yeah, I think this time has been the most productive for me, and I chose to make it so because over the years, with all the different modalities that I was learning, and whether it was cognitive behavioral therapy or hypnosis or all the different NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, all of that, right? So whether it was reading or doing a course online, there were notes that I was making, and there was certain pointers that I was putting down in very simple language. So I really wanted to help people on the front of being able to find their perfect soulmate. So this time that has gone by, I spent it actually creating a curriculum for people who are looking to find their life partners. But putting it into a process has been a huge task. It's taken a lot of effort because there's so much random information everywhere. But no one person has really shared what they have gone through. And I've actually gone through. I mean, I got married at 36, 37, which is quite late, right, for us Indians. So, my experiences of what I went through and how I dealt with it to be able to actually shift in my frequency, to be able to attract the right person into my life. So I've put that in the form of a program, and I'm calling it Find Your Perfect Soulmate, which will be out soon, either on a website or in some way.
If they want to, do the program, where does this for all the listeners, all the viewers?
Yeah.
So this program.
This is going to be up on a website very soon. I've been shooting it because there's going to be video tutorials, and there'll be some way that they'll be able to access it. Right now, it's not ready, but this is what I've been working on, and very, very seriously giving it all my time.
Right.
Yeah.
Do let me know. I'll post it as a story so that all the listeners who are viewers who are there over here will also have the access, and we'll spread the word around so that we help people find their partners.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
That would help.
What is that one message that you would like to give to all our viewers?
The one message that I would like to give the viewers right now would be cut the loop. Cut the loop. We've all gone into a loop, and we keep getting into the same conversation of what we're feeling, because when we talk to somebody, it's the same conversation. If we're watching TV, it's the same conversation in our heads. Yeah, we're typing WhatsApp messages, broadcasts, forwards, same thing. Instagram, same thing. News, same thing. So I think cut the loop all the time. Don't get into the same thing. Abhi COVID ka hua, to COVID. Then this SSR thing happened, and this whole thing about suicide, and now our army general, such a big thing happened. I mean, everybody was posting and feeling bad about this, but about the Galwan Valley, the Ladakh, we've lost 20 soldiers, and I think now everybody's tweeting and talking about that. Of course, it's something to talk about and salute, our Indian Army. But at the end of the day, you need to cut off from all of this that is happening and go inside yourself and actually spend that time in silence with yourself. Do something that you enjoy, and maintain a gratitude journal where you make a list of the things that are good for you, that are happening good in the world. Because whoever I talk to in Bombay, they just, it's like complaining, cribbing, crying, you know, either it's about doing housework or about what's happened in the news or, you know, so वो चेहरा ही ऐसे हो गया है, you know, complaining. I'm like, you know, just थोड़ा मतलब come out of it, you know. This is not the rest of your life. Things are going to change. The only constant thing in this world is change, right? So nothing's going to last forever. तो ये जो वक्त है इसको प्रोडक्टिवली भी यूज कर सकते हैं. कितना रो रो के क्या मिलेगा, you know, there's nothing they're going to gain out of it. So I had a choice. I could sit and cry about not being close to my family in Bombay because all my friends, family, my work, of course, everything's on a standstill. And then just, you know, been stuck over here and then kept crying about that on social media with friends. But I chose. It was a very conscious choice to do something that was productive, interesting, positive, something that will help and reach out to people and give back to the world in some way. So find that superpower. Like for me, I felt very connected to this soulmate topic. So, okay, I made it. I mean, this is what, you know, I feel I'm the best at right now. And this is what I can give back. But everybody has a different thing that they are best at, right? You just have to dig inside yourself and find, okay, what is that one thing that I can give to the people that I am best at? Is it, are you a good writer, or are you good at painting? Are you good at singing? Are you good at cooking? Kuch bhi karo, but kuch productive karo.
And everybody has something that they can give back. You know?
Find your superpower, you know, find your superpower and make use of it. Give back to the people. Videos बनाओ, उसको social media पे डालो. अगर social media पे से निकलना है, अब खुद के लिए करो. You know, वो अच्छी चीज है. Make a book, start writing a book on the best recipes or on anything, you know. There's so many self-help books. So write your own and keep inspiring people. It's so important to give back, you know. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Aarti, for coming on the Talks and sharing your life, your innermost thoughts. I'm really grateful to you. You're looking as wonderful can be. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. See you. Lots of love. Bye.